everybody, I hope you're okay. Today's maths lesson is going to be about measurement, specifically millimetres, centimetres and metres. So by the end of today we will hopefully understand the links between millimetres, centimetres and metres, and the shortened way of writing those are on the screen just now. So millimetres is written as mm, centimetres as cm, and metres just as an m on its own. So we're going to be able to know the connections between these three types of measurements. The skills we'll be using today, we will be multiplying and dividing by 10, by 100, and for some of us we will go on to 1,000 as well. By using these skills, we'll be able to convert or change between millimetres, centimetres and metres. We have done dividing and multiplying by 10, 100 and 1,000 before, so it will be a recap of those skills in a new context, the context of measuring. So let's start with a metre. A metre is broken into 100. We're going to start with a metre. So a metre is broken down into 100 centimetres. That word cent or cent in French means 100. I think it is also Latin. So that word means 100. So there are 100 centimetres in 1 metre. Because of this rule, it means to change between metres and centimetres, we can multiply or divide by 100. If we want to change metres into centimetres, we multiply by 100. If we want to change centimetres into metres, we divide by 100. So let's look at a little example first of all. How many centimetres would there be in 3.6 metres? So the sum we would be doing is 3.6 times 100. Now, if you need to, we can use that place value grid that we've used previously. Some people will be able to do this mentally, it's not a problem. But you can use this skill to double check your work if you want. So I've put 3.6 into my place value skill. Because I'm timesing by 100, everything's going to jump up 2 jumps. So the 3 moves into the hundreds, the 6 moves into the tens, and I add that 0 placeholder into the units. So my answer is 360 centimetres. Let's have a look at these examples on the screen just now. How many centimetres are in, and then we have 6 examples for us to work through. So remember, for this one, we are multiplying by 100. You might be able to do some of them mentally, you might have to use a place value chart for some of them. Pause the video here, try those 6 examples, and we'll get the answers in a wee second. Chart for some of them. Pause the video here, try those 6 examples, and we'll get the answers in a wee second. Okay, let's have a look at the answers. So for the first one, 4 metres, there are 400 centimetres. The second one, 560 centimetres. The third one, 1,210. For D, 2,630 centimetres. For E, 7,487 centimetres. And the last one there is 9,236 centimetres. So we've multiplied all of those by 100. That's how we change metres into centimetres. How about doing the reverse? How many metres are in centimetres? So because it's the reverse, going the opposite way, we flip the operation that we do. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So this time we're going to be dividing by 100. So this example on the screen just now, how many metres are in 760 centimetres? So the sum I would be doing is 760 divided by 100. Now again, you might need to use a place value grid, you might be able to do this in your head, it just depends. So I've got it on the screen just now, so I put 760 into my place value chart. Because I'm dividing by 100, everything jumps down 2 jumps. So the 7 ends up in the units, the 6 ends up in the tenths. That 0, I could add on into the hundreds column, but because there's no other numbers after that 0, I can just get rid of it. So my answer is going to be 7.6 metres. Here are some examples for you to try, 8 this time. So remember, for these ones, we are dividing by 100. Do it in your head if you can, use the place value chart if you need to, pause the video here and we'll get the answers soon. Fab guys, hopefully this is all making sense. Like I said, we've used these skills before, so hopefully it's just, we'll get the answers soon. Fab guys, hopefully this is all making sense. Like I said, we've used these skills before, so hopefully it's just a recap. So the answers are on the screen just now for these questions. So the first one was 1.2 metres. The second one was 9.62 metres. I apologise, my decimal points are not very clear. The third one, 18.93 metres, sorry. For D, we had 23.91 metres. For E there, we had 841.32 metres. For F is just 47 metres. G was 14.02 metres. And the last one there was 810.03 metres. Hopefully that's made sense, the multiplying and dividing by 100 to change centimetres to metres or metres to centimetres. As an extra wee challenge, I've got 3 questions there and I'd like you to tell me which one is the shorter one of each of them. Pause the video here, have a wee think and we'll get the answers. Okay, the answers are on screen just now. So 1.04 metres is shorter, 3.6 metres is the shorter one in that example, and the last one, the shortest one there, is 182 centimetres. So hopefully you were able to convert and then work out which one was the shorter length. What we're going to move on to now is centimetres and millimetres. So centimetres are a smaller bit of measurement. Centimetres we use quite commonly when we're measuring things around our house, like if we were measuring books, for example, or the height of your laptop screen or the width of your iPad, for example. So centimetres are broken down into 10 millimetres. So if we imagine that line on the screen that I've got just now is a centimetre, within that there would be 10 millimetres. Millimetres we use for more precise measurements because it's a shorter measurement. Lots of builders and joiners use millimetres when they're doing installations of wood and building houses and things like that, because things obviously have to be really precise so that they get their measurements accurate so that the house or whatever it is they're building works out okay. So millimetres are just a more precise measurement. The word milli is Latin again for 1,000, which means in 1 metre there are 1,000 millimetres, but we're going to come back to that after we've done the centimetres and millimetres, but I thought that's an interesting way of remembering. It also comes as French. Mille in French means 1,000, so 1,000 metres, 1,000 millimetres in 1 metre. So thinking about centimetres and millimetres, there are 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre, so this time we can multiply by 10 or divide by 10 to change between millimetres and centimetres. So for this first one, how many millimetres are in these centimetres? So if we need to work out how many millimetres are in these centimetres, we're going to multiply by 10. So what we have to do for these questions, you can pause the video here, multiply each one by 10, and we'll get the answers in a second. Okay, the answers are on the screen just now, so you can have a wee look at those. So the first one is 410 millimetres, then we've got 960 millimetres, 1,810, and we'll get the answers in a second. Okay, the answers are on the screen just now, so you can have a wee look at those. So the first one is 410 millimetres, then we've got 960 millimetres, 1,820 millimetres, 4,360 millimetres, 1,390 millimetres, 4,010 millimetres, and the last one there was 63,000 millimetres. I have put a little added extra here. It is not the same as adding a 0. When we multiply by 10, yes, it looks like we have just added a 0, but we have also jumped a place value position as well, and then added a 0 as a placeholder. The reason I'm just going over this just now is because if we are using numbers with decimals and we just add a 0 on at the end of a decimal number, we've not actually done anything to it. You have to move the numbers first and then add the 0 as your placeholder if need be. So it looks like we've added a 0, but it's much more mathematical than that. So just bear that one in mind, guys. Well done if you've got all these correct. We're now going to look at the opposite of that, which is moving millimetres into centimetres. So because it's the opposite, we're going to divide by 10 for all of these ones. Some of them will go into decimals, so if you need to use that place value, grid to work them out, that's absolutely not a problem. So for these ones, we are dividing. To change centimetres into millimetres, we divide by 10. So pause the video here, work your way through these, and I'll get the answers up in a wee second. Brilliant, hopefully this is all making sense. So for the first one, 18 centimetres, then we've got 27 centimetres, 13.7 centimetres, 236 centimetres, 498.1 centimetres, 710.3 centimetres, and 4.1 centimetres. Centimetres. Pause the video here, have a wee think, and we'll get the answer. So the largest one there was 411 millimetres, so well done if you got that one correct. Okay, last but not least today, guys, is changing millimetres into metres. This is the trickiest part, so if you have struggled on the previous two sections, you might not want to go any further. It might become too tricky for you. If you've managed fine with the first two parts, absolutely fire on ahead with these ones. You can let me know on Teams how you got on, which ones you managed to achieve. So this one is looking at millimetres into metres and metres into millimetres. So as I said previously, that word milli at the start The second one there, I've got 19,000 millimetres, then I've got 26,800 millimetres, converting millimetres into metres. This time we are dividing by 1,000. So take your time again on these ones. It gets trickier the further down the list we go. Take your time, work out where that Okay, so we're going to go over these answers. I do apologise about the sound, not really sure what's happening. So the answers for these metres to millimetres, dividing by 1,000, we've got 13 metres, 26 metres, 4.6 metres, 8.3 metres, 0.28 metres, 0.55 metres, and that last one was 0.096. For those last three, those are tricky ones. We always need to have something in the units, even if it's just a zero, so make sure that you are. Challenge is to put these measurements in order. Be careful, some of them are metres, some of them are centimetres, and some of them are millimetres. Convert and then put them in the correct order. Okay, the answers for these then, guys, are on the screen. So the smallest one was 1.06 metres, then 1.6 metres, then 162 centimetres, and then 1,638 millimetres was the largest. As an extra task for you, if you are finding it hard to remember how to change millimetres into metres, centimetres into millimetres, for example, I would recommend maybe making a poster or some flashcards just to help you remember. It is tricky. Maybe thinking about what the words mean, the centimetres, the millimetres, might help you with that clue. That's just an extra task if you think that will help you. Well done today, guys. Great learning. Let me know on Teams how you got on. More than happy to help anybody who is struggling. I will speak to you all later. Bye.